Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm going to be going over one player every Premier League club should sign. I'm going to be honest, a couple of these are very out there. I mean, some of them make sense, but there's a lot of them that are a little bit out there. But yeah, it's fine, and we'll be coming up with, hopefully, some good options. So for Arsenal, the club I support, I saw us dwindle off towards the end of last season, and that was due to mainly players getting tired. We didn't have the squad depth compared to Manchester City, and that just, well, meant we couldn't get the results we needed. Players were too tired, couldn't do as well as they were at the start of the campaign, and that was particularly a problem for players getting injured at the back. But we've kind of fixed that with Timber. Midfielders, we'd still need more midfielders, don't get me wrong. But one key position where we need depth was the wing. We need some depth to cover for Saka, Martinelli. Trossard will also probably be playing in that role, but I'm pretty confident we need some depth on the wing. And it was that reason that I decided we need to get an old face back at the club, and I want to bring Serge Gnabry back to Arsenal. There's going to be some question marks about that because he's not been in the best of form particularly recently. I'll have a look now what his stats were last season, but I don't think they were that bad. Yeah, he scored 14 goals and got 5 assists in 34 Bundesliga games last season. That's not too bad. And I think he'd be a good addition on the wing for us. Good depth. Would probably get a lot of minutes, especially for a club playing Champions League football next season. I think it just makes sense. Yeah. So, moving on now to Aston Villa. I've been looking at them as well. Same situation, going on a European tour. Obviously it's not Champions League, but it's still Conference League, and they don't particularly have the depth to deal with that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I think they need improvement all over the pitch. Sorry, the reason I sound so confused right now is because I've realised I've completely forgotten Bournemouth. But that's not important here. We can forget that. Anyway, yeah. I'm pretty confident that the position Villa need the most an improvement in is the wing. I don't think they have enough depth, and on a European campaign, the wingers are going to be the players getting the most tired because they'll be running down the pitch a lot. This happens all the time. Your team will get tired, but the players that will get the most tired will be your wingers because they are running so much. It's similar for fullbacks, but mainly it is the wingers just running down the wing the whole game. And for that reason, I'm pretty sure that they should be looking to get a winger. And for that reason, I've decided they should be going for Sinisterra from Leeds United. I think that'll be a very good signing for them. And yeah, I think they would hugely benefit from having a player like that on their team. I think it'd be a huge boost. Right, moving on now to Bournemouth, and we're gonna do this one together because I forgot to do Bournemouth. I'm gonna sound more normal after we figure out Bournemouth. I've just been confused this whole start. Let's have a look at Bournemouth's team. What position do Bournemouth need improvements in? Possibly a striker, you know. Let's go with Patson Daka. It's the most random thing. I just completely forgot Bournemouth. I think they need a striker though, and I think Patson Daka from the Championship from Leicester would be a good option. He'll want to move back to the Premier League. He can bag some goals, and I think he'd be a good option for Bournemouth to try and keep them up. Right, I'm going to move swiftly on to Brentford. We're going to forget that ever happened. And Brentford, this might be one of the most out there ones I've said in this video. Because Brentford, I've gone with a position. I think they do need improvements in this position. But this is an interesting option. He's currently unemployed. His contract ran out at my club Arsenal at the end of last season. I think they need a new right back. And I've said for depth they need Ainsley Maitland-Niles. That's a really weird prediction. That's a really weird player for them to sign. It doesn't really make much sense. But I know Brentford need someone with a little bit of a different element, if you know what I mean. And Brentford can turn good players into great players. They do that a lot. And I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles could do a job in that team, certainly. And I think that'd be a good signing. Right, moving on to Brighton. Before I do this one, I'm going to quickly check this hasn't been confirmed or anything. I'm pretty sure it hasn't, but we'll have a look. No, it hasn't. Good. Yeah, Brighton. I've said they should sign Kudos from Ajax. I think that's one that makes sense, personally. I really do, but it'll be interesting whether that actually happens. Yeah. If it happens, it's a magnificent signing for Brighton, because he's getting linked to so many big clubs. I think Manchester United are in for him. I know Arsenal were having a look at him at a time. And for him to play for Brighton, it'll be a big achievement. And I think they could probably stay in Europe with that. Personally, I think that's an upgrade on McAllister, which is really shocking that they managed to do that. So fair play to Brighton if they get this deal done. Fair play. Moving on now to Burnley. This deal might be confirmed. It's been rumoured for literally forever. But I'll have a look. Please don't be confirmed. Please don't be confirmed. I don't think it is. I don't think he has. Good. It's not being confirmed that he will play there next season yet. But I've gone with James Trafford to be the new goalkeeper at Burnley. Apparently he was undergoing his medical out there, so it's pretty much confirmed. This isn't anything out there particularly, but I think James Trafford should be signed by Burnley. He was very good in the under-21 Euros for England, and also he was very good last season on loan at Bolton, and he has been for a while. And I think he needs to get into the Premier League. Newly promoted team like Burnley would work with Vincent Kompany. I think it'd work. I think it'd be a very positive signing. I was going to say Sambi Lokonga, but then I thought Trafford has to be the number one here. Sambi Lokonga, I think, should go to Burnley as well, because he'd link back up with Vincent Kompany. Obviously, work with him at Club Brugge, so I think it makes sense. Moving on now, Chelsea. This one is not confirmed. A week ago, maybe not a week ago, but 2 weeks ago, I thought this deal was 100% done, dusted. It's not done. It's not been confirmed. There's not even been a fee agreed yet. Probably there's a chance it might not happen. But I think Chelsea should still go absolutely all out for Moises Caicedo. In fact, yeah, Brighton have rejected £70 million bid from Chelsea for him. That is outrageous. But yeah, that's what's happening. I think Chelsea should sign Moises Caicedo. They need a big midfielder to be with Enzo Fernandez. They can get that deal done. It'd be magnificent for that team and would probably get them back into Europe next season. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure if that deal's going to happen, but I think it should. Now this is another very out there one I'm about to say, but I think it makes sense in a way. Crystal Palace need a new right back, and there was some good right backs at relegated teams, possibly some that should be playing for bigger clubs. I was looking at Pereira from Leicester. I think that would make sense, but I've actually gone with Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton. Of course, there'll probably be bigger clubs looking at Kyle Walker-Peters, but I think there's absolutely no reason why he can't go to Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace are a good club, and I think he would really help their team to progress to the next level. I think that makes sense. Right, moving on now. Everton. I mean, there's a couple of options here, but I think there's only one position that they need. They need to address first, and that is a goal scorer. They need a striker, preferably someone young. The player I've gone with is not young by any means, but they need to get someone young in that striker role. Even if they get someone old as well, they need to sign a young player. Start planning out the future. But the player I've gone with is quite old. I've gone with Rodrigo from Leeds. I think it makes sense as a deal. They need to get some experience into that team, and a striker who can score goals with experience is almost perfect for Everton, and I think it makes sense. Moving on to Fulham, Tim Ream's obviously going to start getting a bit older, and I think they need a new centre-back who's younger to take over from him eventually, and I think that player should be Bella Kotchap from Southampton. Once again, I think there'll be bigger clubs involved in trying to sign him. You know, I'm hearing rumours Arsenal were looking at him. I don't think that's going to happen. We have enough centre-backs. I don't think that's a priority position with Jurrien Timber into the club. But there could definitely be interest from clubs like Chelsea, etc. But I think he would be an amazing addition to Fulham, and I think they should be going all in for him. Liverpool, I think this deal's going to happen. It might not, but I think it will. The two clubs in the race are Arsenal and Liverpool. So obviously I would prefer if he didn't go to Liverpool, but I have a feeling this deal's going to happen, and that is Roman Lavia to Liverpool. I think it just makes more sense. Arsenal have enough midfielders. That's a lie. I'm an Arsenal fan. We do not have enough midfielders. What we're lacking is midfielders, but I don't know if Roman Lavia would be the perfect addition to our midfield. We're looking for depth. So yes, he would be good depth, but we're looking for depth with experience. Players on Jorginho's level, if not better. Roman Lavia is 19 years old. We need players who can boss the midfield. I think Roman Lavia would get a bit bullied at times, but he makes sense to be signed by someone like Liverpool. I think Brighton would make more sense, but I just don't think he'd go there with the South Coast connections. But I think Liverpool makes a lot of sense for him. But yeah, either of those teams makes sense, and I think it'll be a good signing for Liverpool. Moving on now to Luton Town, I've gone with Pirro from Swansea. They need a striker, Luton, and he scored 24 goals last season for Swansea. He's a good player, and I think Luton really, they just need anyone in the door. They've already signed Tahith Chong, so why not go for a championship player in Pirro? They just need to get players in who can do a job and keep them in this league. That's all they need to be looking for here. Now, the next couple are a bit out there, if I'm being honest. But I did hear rumours about this one. I think Manchester City should go absolutely all out for Frankie de Jong. I think it just makes sense, because he can offer Champions League. They can offer Champions League football to de Jong, to play with De Bruyne and Rodri in what would be the greatest midfield of all time. Or, well, no, it wouldn't be, but it would be the greatest midfield in a long time, and it would be definitely the best midfield in the Premier League next season. It'd be an insane midfield. De Bruyne is one of the best of all time in that role. De Jong is a young player who's already incredible. Rodri's the best DM in the league at the moment. People can argue Casemiro, I'm not accepting it. Rodri's a better DM at the moment, and that three would be unbelievable. And I just think they should go all out for it. Especially if Bernardo Silva's leaving. We know Gundogan's gone to Barcelona, and I have another midfielder who I'm putting out of this club on this list. So I do think it makes sense for de Jong to leave. I think it does. Now I'm on to Manchester United. This is probably the most out there one on this list, but they need a striker. I don't think Osimhen's going to join. They're looking at a striker from Atalanta, I think, but I've not gone with him. I've gone with Vlahovic from Juventus. This is a bit out there, to be honest, because he's a bit left field from what they've been looking at. But I think he'd be a very beneficial addition for Manchester United. They need someone of his quality to join the club, and I think it makes sense. I think he'd be a good signing, Vlahovic, because I remember he was linked to Arsenal a few years ago. We didn't end up signing him. We ended up signing Jesus, because we were linked to him January of the season. We finished 5th, and then the end of that season we signed Jesus, and then we went on to that brilliant season and finished 2nd. That's what happened. I think then he went to Juventus from Fiorentina, and I think he's done well there. But I think if a club like Manchester United came in offering Champions League football, Juventus obviously won't offer that. I think it just makes sense for him to go. Newcastle United, this one hurts me a little bit, but they need a left back, and I think Kieran Tierney, if he was to get offered an opportunity to play for Newcastle, he would accept it. As much as I don't want him to leave, I think it makes so much sense for Newcastle. I really do, and I think it'd be a very positive deal for them, because they need a left back, and it would complete an absolutely amazing defence and an absolutely amazing team Newcastle would have, especially if they sign another brilliant player, which they probably will find someone else. If they could slot another brilliant midfielder in there with Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, that is insane. This Newcastle team, they're not just going to breeze and let Liverpool back into the Champions League like some people are saying. That's not going to happen. They're going to be up there fighting for it. I think that top 5. I do think City and Arsenal, maybe Manchester United, could look to go a level above, but I don't know even. Obviously I want Arsenal to do well, but I just have a feeling there could be 4 clubs battling for 3 places, with City just a mile above. That's very possible next season. But yeah, it's going to be very close. Newcastle are building a very strong team. Nottingham Forest, gone with Dean Henderson. They need a goalkeeper. Dean Henderson's probably going to go back there. There's rumours about that. Obviously he got injured last season. They said, alright, let's sign Keylor Navas. That deal's not going to happen. I think they should look to get Dean Henderson on a permanent deal, because they cannot start the season playing Wayne Hennessy in goal. It would be an absolute shambles. Sheffield United, I think they need a new centre-back. Well, they need a player in pretty much every position. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and think I know everything about Sheffield United. I think I could name about 3 players. But I think they need a new centre-back to cover the job. And I've gone with Wout Faes from Leicester. I think it makes sense. They need a centre-back. And I think a relegated centre-back, he'd do a job. Even if he wasn't starting every game, he'd do a job in that team. And it'd definitely help them optimistically try and survive. I think they're one of the knock-ons to go down, personally. Moving on to Tottenham, I still stand by. Even if Harry Kane doesn't leave this summer, he's going to leave next summer. And so they need to start thinking about who's going to replace him. And I think Gonçalo Ramos from Benfica would do a job. He did well at the World Cup. He scored a hat-trick at the World Cup. I can't remember. He might have scored a brace, but he did well at the World Cup against whoever Portugal played in the round of 16. I can't remember. Let's actually have a think about that. No, I can't remember for the life of me who they played, but yeah, Gonçalo Ramos to Tottenham, I think it makes sense. It'd be a good addition for them. They need a Harry Kane replacement sooner rather than later. Now, moving on to West Ham United, this is another one that's a little bit out there, but I don't think it's that out there. They've sold Declan Rice to Arsenal. They need a new defensive midfielder. Manchester City have Rodri. Nobody's going to get Rodri out of that team. And this is a player who was starting for England a few years ago. He started a lot of games at the Euros, and we can't just have him sitting about on the Manchester City bench having his career ride away. He won't want that to happen. he'll want to be getting starting football, and I think West Ham United can offer him that. So I think Calvin Phillips to West Ham makes sense, and that's the deal I've gone with here. I think 20 million, sell him to West Ham from Manchester City. I think that only makes sense. I think that'd be a very positive signing for West Ham, because they need a Rice replacement. I think Phillips would do the job. I think that would be a good signing for them. Yeah, so that's what I've gone with. Now moving on to the last team, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I wasn't sure about this one because I looked over the team and I thought they need improvements in a lot of positions. There's not just one or two, there's a lot of positions where they could do with an upgrade. But the one I looked at in particular was striker, because I don't think Raul Jimenez will be there next season. If he is, fair enough, but I just don't think he will be there next year. He's not been particularly good anyway since that injury, that kind of ruined his career. I think they're going to have to look for a new striker, and I think Iheanacho from Leicester, just been relegated, was doing well with Leicester. Doing well, and I think with them getting relegated, he will want to return to the Premier League. Wolves need a striker. It just makes sense to me. So that's what I've gone with for Wolves, and that's what I've gone with for every Premier League club here. So yeah, on the day of recording this, it's the 18th of July. It's getting close to the season. I'll soon be doing my Prem predictions. I'll soon be doing my weekly predictions and stuff. We'll be getting into it very soon. Time's ticking. But yeah, that is going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.